Hey everyone, we're going to get right into it today, so I hope you're ready. Let's start this video with a listening quiz. What is the final sound that you hear me say at the end of these words? Second, around, sound, find, demand. Did you hear a final D consonant, D, or a final T consonant, T, or something in between a D and a T? I'll say these words again. Listen carefully. Second, around, sound, find, demand. So here's what I said. You'll notice that all of these words follow the same pattern. They all end with the N and D consonants, with D being in the final position. Now, something strange happens to the D consonant in these words. And this strange thing happens in lots of other words too. The D consonant is kind of pronounced like a T consonant. And in my experience, no one really talks about this strange thing. I haven't seen many accent coaches out there who teach this pronunciation phenomenon to their students. But today, this strange thing, when a D consonant loses its voicing and is pronounced more like a T consonant, is exactly what you're going to learn in this video. In case this is the first time you've watched one of my pronunciation videos, let me welcome you to my channel and introduce myself. I'm Julie, a professional American accent coach and voice coach. And I've been helping people just like you to improve their English pronunciation and public speaking skills since 2007. And today, you're going to learn about an advanced area of American English pronunciation called Final Consonant Devoicing. This is when a voiced consonant loses its voicing when it's in the final position of a word. This happens in the words I said earlier. Second versus second. Sound versus sound. The final D consonant lost some or all of its voicing and sounded a little bit more like a T consonant. It's not second or sound. It's second. Sound. Now, the million-dollar question is, why does this happen? And how do you know when to use this pronunciation rule? Because you won't see this in the IPA transcription of a word. You won't see that the D has lost some of its voicing. Instead, you'll see the D symbol transcribed, just like you do in this Cambridge Dictionary entry for the word second. And this devoicing doesn't just occur when a word ends in N and D. It happens in lots of other words too. So for the remainder of this video, I'm going to teach you everything you need to know about final consonant voicing in English. And we'll start with the basics. Consonant voicing is when a consonant sound, such as the D, M, or B consonants, are pronounced with vocal cord vibration. That's when your vocal cords vibrate or make a sound. And you can feel that happen in your throat. D. B. I feel a vibration in my throat. That vibration is from my vocal cords. English has 15 voiced consonant sounds. B as in boy, D as in dog, G as in good, J as in July, L as in light, M as in mom, N as in never, as in sing, as in rain, V as in this, J as in treasure, V as in very, W as in wheel, Y as in yes, and Z as in zoo. But when these consonants occur at the end of a word or at the end of a syllable, strange things can and do happen to the voicing. Sometimes you pronounce all of the voicing. For example, the zh consonant in the word treasure is always pronounced with 100% of its voicing. Treasure, treasure. Sometimes you pronounce just a little bit of the voicing. For example, the final Z in the word please is often pronounced with maybe 50% of the voicing at the beginning, and then the remaining 50% is pronounced without voicing, so closer to an S consonant. Please. And sometimes you drop all of the voicing. For example, the final V in the word have is almost always pronounced like an F consonant, so without any voicing, in the phrase, have to. Have to. Not have to. For the remainder of this video, I'm going to dive deep into the world of final consonant voicing and devoicing. And I'll give you the rules and the exceptions to those rules, plus a bunch of example words and phrases to help solidify your learning. So don't be afraid to take notes because I'm about to get technical here. I'll begin with a discussion of 2 rules of final consonant voicing, and then I'll discuss the exceptions to those rules. Rule number 1 of final consonant voicing. This rule involves the length of vowels when they come before voiced consonants and voiceless consonants. I've discussed this vowel length rule in a previous video, and I've linked to that video in the description below. So if you want more help with vowel length, please check out that video. The rule is, vowels that come before voiced consonants are typically pronounced with a longer duration than vowels that come before voiceless consonants. Listen to these words as examples. Can you hear the slight difference in the length of the vowel? Belief, believe, safe, save, advice, advise. You should hear that the vowels that come before the voiced consonants are held out for a little bit of a longer duration than the vowels that come before the voiceless consonants. This rule of vowel length is extremely important in American English pronunciation. So if you struggle with pronouncing the voicing of the final v in believe, for example, and people consistently hear you say belief instead, then focus on the vowel length. Hold out the E vowel in believe for just a fraction longer, and people will hear the right word. The second rule about vowel length is this. Final voiceless fricative consonants, like s, f, sh, and the voiceless th, f, are typically held out longer than final voiced fricative consonants, like z, v, zh, and the voiced th. I'll say some example words again, and listen for that final consonant. You should hear that the voiceless fricative consonants are held out for slightly longer duration than the voiced fricative consonants. Belief, believe, safe, save, advice, advise. So you have 2 rules here. Longer vowel plus a shorter consonant, especially for fricatives. Shorter vowel plus a longer consonant, especially for fricatives. Rule number 2 of final consonant voicing. These vowel length rules still apply when a word ends in a consonant cluster, which is when you have 2 or more consonants next to each other in the same syllable. So the a vowel in the word cats is shorter in duration compared to the ah vowel in the word dogs, because the ts ending in cats is voiceless, and the gz ending in dogs is voiced. The same thing happens in the words missed and whizzed, where the I vowel in missed is shorter in duration because it comes before the ST cluster, and the I vowel in the word whizzed is longer in duration because it comes before the ZD cluster. Cats, dogs, missed, whizzed. You'll notice in these examples, the consonant clusters either include a final letter S or the past tense ED ending. Now, I don't have time in this video to review the pronunciation rules of the final S and the final ED endings in English, but I have gone over those rules at length in other videos, and I've linked to those videos in the description below. If you struggle with knowing how to pronounce the final S or the final ED endings in English, then please check out those videos. So far, I've discussed two main rules of final consonant voicing, and both of those main rules said that whenever you see a voiced consonant transcribed in the IPA, then you pronounce it with voicing. Yep, sounds pretty easy, right? Well, now let's move on to when you break that voicing rule, or in other words, when the voiced final consonant actually loses its voicing in the pronunciation. And remember, you most likely won't see this in the IPA transcription of a word, but native speakers will pronounce that final voiced consonant as something closer to a voiceless consonant. So this next part in the video is very important. You'll only learn about this pronunciation phenomenon in this video, so listen carefully and take notes. I'll teach you 3 examples in which the final voiced consonant actually loses some or all of its voicing in its pronunciation. Number 1. In any word that ends with a voiced fricative consonant or a voiced affricate consonant, like please, massage, and judge, the voicing usually drops from the last 50% of the final voiced sound. We'll talk about what happens when you link that word to another word next, but for now, just remember that any word that ends in a voiced fricative or affricate consonant can lose maybe half of its voicing on that final sound. So the word please isn't pronounced as please with full voicing of the final z consonant. You can pronounce it that way. A native speaker can always say please with a fully voiced final z sound, but that's not typically what happens in regular speech. That final consonant, though voiced, and the IPA would also show that it's voiced, will lose a lot of its voicing at the end. The first part of the consonant will maintain some voicing, but it's the final portion of the consonant where the voicing is dropped. But remember that vowel length rule that says vowels before voiced consonants are pronounced with a slightly longer duration? That rule still applies. So you still pronounce the preceding vowel with a slightly longer duration because a voiced consonant still technically comes next. Okay, so don't forget that part. Always maintain that vowel length rule. Number 2. The voicing of a final voiced fricative or affricate consonant typically drops when linking to a voiceless consonant. This is called voicing assimilation, and it's quite common in American English pronunciation. Let's look at the example phrase, please say. Here you have a final z in please, linking to an s in say. The z is voiced and the s is voiceless. What typically happens here is the second consonant, the s in this example, influences the voicing of the first consonant, the z in this example, causing z to drop most or all of its voicing to become more similar to s. So the phrase, please say, is pronounced like, please say. with voicing on maybe the first 25% of the Z consonant, then the last 75% is voiceless and becomes the S consonant. So, in summary, you have a longer E vowel and a little bit of voicing at the beginning of Z. Then the voicing drops out and the Z becomes S as you link it to say. Here's another phrase where the voicing drops out entirely. The phrase have to is almost always pronounced like have to, have to. The final V in have loses all of its voicing when it links up to the voiceless T in to. Have to, not have to. Number 3. When a word ends with a consonant cluster where the final sound is voiced, the voicing may be dropped or reduced in the final consonant. This is especially true when the consonant cluster includes a nasal sound plus a final D consonant, like the word hand. You might have just the tiniest bit of voicing at the beginning of the D, but because of the way the N and D are articulated, they're both alveolar sounds, so the tongue placement is the same for both of them. The nasal consonant, the N, is pronounced normally. Then the tongue makes a quick little D, and then drops from the alveolar ridge without any voicing at all. This happens in the words I said at the beginning of this video, which all contained the ND consonant cluster. But you'll also hear this drop in voicing in other types of consonant clusters. Here are a few more examples. Listen carefully to the final sound. Closed. Involved. Bags. Okay, you guys, this video was dense, so please go back and watch it again if you need to. I discussed an area of American English pronunciation that's pretty advanced, the devoicing of final voiced consonants in English. And if this was your first time learning about voicing and devoicing and consonants, well, I know this was probably overwhelming. If you need more help with your pronunciation of final voiced consonants in English, then I'd be happy to work with you in English Pro, my online accent training program. You'll receive training in all areas of the American accent, including final consonant devoicing and linking, plus you can attend weekly live English classes and work one-on-one with me in the class. Check out the description for links to learn more about English Pro. Don't forget that I also have a free Sounds of American English guidebook, where you'll learn how to pronounce every sound of American English with audio recordings, pictures, MRIs, IPA charts, and more. It's a fantastic free resource that will really help boost your American English pronunciation skills. So check out the links in the description below. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and please subscribe to my channel for more pronunciation tips. That's a fantastic, no-cost way that you can show your support and let me know that you liked this video and want me to make more just like it. You can also leave a comment below to let me know what techniques have helped you with your pronunciation of final consonants, and I'll be sure to cover them in future videos. Keep practicing, and I'll see you next time.